Let's talk family vloggers. So recently you might have seen there was this dramatic and horrible news that Ruby Frankie, this YouTuber, had been arrested on suspicion of abusing her kids. These kids that she filmed all the time as part of her YouTube channel. It's called 8 Passengers. And this has once again stirred up a lot of conversation about family vlogging and the ethics of family vlogging. So let's dive into that right now, look at what's gone wrong and what is going to be changing in the future, because it's pretty crazy. Welcome to Scroll Deep, the show that keeps up with all the latest goings on so you don't have to, because who has time to keep up with all this internet? Oh, the sheer amount of internet that's happening. Who's got the time? Me, apparently. So don't you worry, Benedict's got you covered. This is the show that keeps you covered. Like and follow to be covered. So first things first, what is family vlogging? Let's get out of the way. You just vlog your life and the life of your family. You film all the stuff you do. So what went wrong with family vlogging? Well, first of all, immediately you have the issue that you are filming someone, often since birth. Sometimes you're filming their birth. I'm pretty sure like the Sakodi Jolies filmed their kids' births. You're documenting private aspects of their life, like when they came out of their mother. and you're filming all this private stuff long before they're able to consent to it, long before they're able to understand what is happening. In fact, earlier this year, a young woman came forward and spoke to the press, and she said she was someone who had their whole childhood filmed for YouTube. And apparently these videos were quite successful. We don't know who she is because they kept her identity secret. Good thing to do. But apparently her parents like made a fortune off filming her, and now she's 18 and she's like, that ruined my life. That was awful. I really resent my parents for doing this. And I feel like we're going to be seeing a lot more of that as these kids actually grow up and wake up to what's been happening. It's like such a new modern Gen Alpha problem we're going to have. Grown-up vlogging kids. To be fair though, you're waddling into daycare and you've got 1 million followers. Those other toddlers are going to be stunned. If they knew what was happening and they understood anything, they would be like, they'd be like, dang. You know? They'd be like, F***. We also had another recent family vlogging controversy. This is about the Lebrant family, Everly Lebrant. And if you say to me, hey, is Everly spelt with a bunch of G's and H's and E's and I's? Well, it's a white American family, so you better believe it, baby. And I'm allowed to make fun of her because I have a silly name myself. Anyway, she did this new song. It's like a song about loving Taylor Swift, and she's put it out, and people are kind of making fun of it. And the family is claiming that she wrote it herself, but then if you look in like the notes on YouTube, it's like, it says the family wrote it. And some people are saying, oh, it's a bit gross because she mentions like more adult Taylor Swift songs. Some people are like, it's just a cute thing to do. But basically none of this would be a debate if a 10-year-old wasn't famous. But, you know, famously on Scroll Deep, which is what this show has always been called, we love giving both sides of the story. And Jojo Siwa, someone who was a star when she was young, she's come out in defense of Everly, who says, as the now 20-year-old who was once the 10-year-old growing up in front of the internet, I want to say to anyone that's been saying negative things about this song or Everly herself, lose your ego and grow up. The song is adorable, bullying isn't cool, it's not funny, and it's not trendy ever, especially when it's directed at a 10-year-old, and her first song by people much older than her, some even adults. If you've posted something knocking this, you should be embarrassed. And it's true, it's like, it's so sad I have to say this, but we shouldn't be mean about a 10-year-old. And we shouldn't make fun of her name. I'm not making fun of the child there, it's the parents who picked the name. But we've actually moved beyond a stage of people going like, should we do something about this, to people actually doing something about this. There are actually like laws that have come into place now. Different places and different countries have taken different approaches. For example, Illinois, US state, has a new law which is coming into effect in 2024, which means that kids will have to be given a share of the money. So they basically get compensated for their work if they're an influencer. It's the first of its kind in the United States. It's a very capitalistic, I would say, American approach to the issue, because they looked at this thing of kids being filmed and they were like, damn, these kids should get paid too, as opposed to like, maybe we just shouldn't film everything this kid does. Maybe we shouldn't film when this kid like falls over and has a tantrum, but they're like, no, they need to be paid. But you know, it's better than nothing, because like child stars on TV and in film, they have all these rules that sort of are meant to protect them. They have to have a certain amount of breaks every hour or so, whatever. They have a tutor. There's actually a lot of restrictions these days around, you know, how a child can be treated on a movie set. If the movie has a big spider in it, the big spider's not allowed to eat them. But obviously, okay, yeah, this deals with it a little bit because you're compensating the kids, but now you're just getting into child star territory. Famously, a group of people who, by and large, don't have a very good experience. It can have a real negative effect on them. There's a few people who get through it and they're fine, but even the ones who had a horrifying experience often will talk out and be like, I kind of wish I just had a regular childhood. So yeah, it's nice that Illinois is giving these kids the bag. The bag they've earned that bread. But it's like, what if we didn't film the kids at all? And actually, that's the other end of the scale, which Thailand has sort of taken. You may remember back in 2018, there was a YouTuber called Nikki Philippi, millions of subs. She and her partner announced they were going to be adopting a child from Thailand. And then they announced, consensually, no one made them do this, but they made a video where they announced that they wouldn't be adopting the child anymore because they said, here's the situation. Thailand has its own law that's unique to it. And after you pick up your child and they are your child, you're not allowed to talk about them or share any images, photos or videos or anything about them online for a year. For 1 year, only 1 year. And they were like, obviously as YouTubers, that's not good enough for us. So back you go, kiddo. And they literally gave the kid back because they were like, we have to vlog with this child. If that is not that law working as intended, I don't know what is. But I do think, moving forward, we're going to see more of this. I think we're going to start seeing legislation and rules that are at least limit how people are able to film and post their kids online. You know, do I think it should be banned entirely? I don't think it matters because I don't think you'll ever be able to do that. I do think some restrictions are needed though. I do feel sorry for these kids, you know, these kids who speak out when they get a bit older and say like, I didn't want any of that. But what do you think, right? That's what really matters. Let us know in the comments. Do you think it should be banned? Do you think it should be heavily restricted? Do you think the frickin' government should keep its hands out of what I do? It's my God-given right to make my child sad and put it online. Let me know in the comments. I want to know what you think. I wouldn't be here on this show if my parents hadn't got me a tiny desk at the age of 3 and demanded I start yelling about YouTubers. And I thank them for that. And every time I visit them in jail, I say, you guys made me who I am today. They didn't do it, it's just tax evasion, which is a victimless crime. Thank you so much for tuning in to the first episode of Scroll Deep. We've got so much more to come. Also, we want to know, what do you want to see from us? Because now we're unshackled. This is Benedict Unchained. We don't just have to talk about YouTubers anymore. We can talk about anything. We can talk about sports. We're probably not going to talk about sports, but we can talk about sports if we really wanted to. What do you want to see? Let us know in the comments down below. And as always, on this show, Scroll Deep, which is what it's always been called, make sure to keep on scrolling. But not too deep. The famous catchphrase, we couldn't get rid of that.